if you can make your customer comfortable with being vulnerable, they will buy from you.
Absolutely.
Because they've got to confess like what's going on, like why they're having a problem, what's not working. And we're taught specifically as Americans and, business people to always kind of put this, everything's great, right? And so when you're reaching out to someone for help, you're like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and especially at that local level. So they are so focused on their day-to-day that they don't have time for social media.
Right.
It is
Neither should they. They
shouldn't.
Right.
No, it's the first thing that gets pushed off their list. Let somebody else who knows what they're doing help you with that.
On this episode of The Claw, I talked with Courtney Psinas, sales executive with Liger Partners, about small businesses and how small businesses should use marketing to attract their customers and keep them coming to their doors. I'm joined in Liger Studios today with one of the newest Ligers, Courtney Psinas. She is a sales executive with us, and she has a specific focus kind of in the small business category. So thanks for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I guess you didn't really necessarily have a choice.
Right,
but
yeah. I was just like shoved in here. I was like, you're going to talk about this today.
We're going to talk about this today, yeah. And so I thought it would be good to kind of get into, marketing for small businesses. And, and one of the kind of misconceptions that I hear often, and be curious to see what you hear, is that small businesses for some reason think they don't have to do marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when small businesses hear marketing, it scares them because they're like, well, we're small, we're just based here, we don't need a big audience. We've got our our people that come door to door and come in and know us, and but you have this huge pool. The opportunity to get out there and get your name out there is so much bigger. When my favorite go-to is just restaurants. When you're hungry on a Friday night, what is the first thing you do when you can't decide? You're going to Google someone, or you're going to go on Facebook and see where your friends went. And a lot of these local businesses aren't even on Facebook because they don't think that they have to, because we're right down the street. People see us, but no, people have to see you, on social, on your phone, on their computers.
Yeah, and what's been interesting in our new times, I refuse to use any of the other words, is that, some of the marketing is the way that I know that your business is still open.
Exactly. Yeah. Those updated hours, and the fact that you're active, because nowadays you don't know, and you can't necessarily go stop by and find out. You have to search for it.
Yeah. And so you find that small businesses think that, when you say the word marketing, that like that's a big thing.
Yeah. So they get overwhelmed because marketing to them is print marketing, it's radio, it's TV, it's social media,
billboards.
And exactly, yeah. And they're like, we don't have the budget for that, we don't have the team for that. And really, you can break it down for a local person and see, let's just start you with a Facebook page, let's start you with an Instagram page, and from there you can grow. You don't have to have a billboard, if you're in a small town and you're just have your local audience. It's just all about creating that presence so that when somebody goes to search for something in your realm, that you're there and that you're active.
Yeah. And so tell me, like, when you're talking to a small business and kind of evaluating, what they should have and what they don't have, like, what are some of the first priorities? So I've got a business, I'm running a restaurant, or I'm a barber, or whatever. Like,
Absolutely.
where do I even start? What should I invest in first? What does that look like?
It's so much more simple, because truthfully, you just need to have a presence. Are you even on the social platforms that your target audience, or that your target customer is there? So Facebook and Instagram are my favorite go-tos. You have to have a Facebook, you have to have an Instagram page, and you just have to have a presence there and be active. So make sure that you're posting a few times a week. Make sure that you're showing up. It doesn't take a lot of time. You don't have to put a lot of thought into it. You just have to be there. And I think that a lot of people, they don't know how to navigate social media. They don't know how to use social media. But once you get in there, and once you just play around with it, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be an asset for you. So just get on there, step one, and have a presence. Make a name for yourself.
So the first thing is just get started.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have to get started somewhere. If you don't have, all this creative capabilities, you don't have a lot of pictures, that's fine, but you can't wait to get started. You can't be like, I'm gonna work, a few months and get my footing ready in this town, and then I'll start my social medias. No, you just gotta, as soon as you think about it, get on there and make that account and get started day one.
Well, and that's such an important point of waiting to do marketing.
Exactly.
We run into companies all the time, small, big, and they're like, okay, we created this product and now we need to do marketing. Yeah. And I'm like, could you have come to us like 4 months ago?
Right.
Because then we could have primed the, Apple is a great example of a company that primes you to buy the next thing, right? Like, we're going to have this show in 6 months and there's going to be a new iPhone. And you're like, okay, in 6 months, I'm going to want to buy a new iPhone, right?
My favorite thing to tell people is you're not just a page, you're a person. So showcase who you are. Why did you get into this business? What made you want to do it? What makes you get up every day and throw yourself in, to these local communities? So showing behind the scenes is so important. People struggle with, what content do I post? What do I tell these people? Who really cares? Well, people want to know about your business, but they also want to know about you.
Yeah.
Show them what you do on a day-to-day. Walk them through you getting up and getting ready for work and going to work and interacting with your customers. You're so much more than just the business. I'm like, always tell your story, because that's really what captivates people.
Yeah, and it sounds like I'm a foodie. I love restaurants and places like that. And you can always tell a restaurant, by when they're willing to be passionate and talk to you about the food and the food there is good. You just naturally know that because you've already kind of walked, you're like, oh, so when you see them on social media and they're sharing things about preparing it or this, whatever, like, that's the place I want to go, because they care. They're not looking at it just as a business, right? It's not just a way to make money, and you're honestly willing to spend more money at a place like that, right?
You have that connection, and it makes you feel warm. It makes you feel good. There's this local business back in Illinois that I used to work with, and he owns a pizza shop. And every single week, he made a goal to involve himself in the community a different way. So whether that was doing, like 15% of sales will go to the, boys t-ball team this week, or the next week it'll be the girls dance studio, or he's going to go volunteer at this event and bring some of his employees. And he always showcased that on social media. So when I'm hungry and it's Saturday night and I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see that, Jimbo's Jumbos just went and volunteered at the animal shelter, I was like, you know what? Jimbo's Jumbos pizza sounds good
really
tonight.
Good tonight.
Yep, exactly. It just makes you feel good. You're supporting a good local business, and honestly, they're top of mind, because here I am just scrolling through Facebook, and sure, they weren't posting about pizza,
right,
but they were just sharing what they did today, and it made me think of them, and then it made me feel good about supporting that business.
Well, and that's not a subliminal kind of advertising of just seeing the pizza, because now you've said that, and there's a little pizza place near the house, and I'm like, okay, I have that for dinner, right?
Right.
So and one of our clients, Olay Oliva, they sell olive oils, and they do she teaches you how to cook very cleanly, like very healthy.
Okay.
And so one of her goals last year was to give away 2,000 meals.
Oh, nice.
And so she documented giving the meals away to like the frontline workers and things like that. And it was a great way to remind people that she existed.
Exactly.
Kind of in line with the fact that she was also doing this kind of nice thing for the neighborhood and that type of thing. So it sounds, so you said like a presence. You didn't say a website.
Yeah, so I think personally that my generation does not necessarily Google somebody right off the bat.
Say that again.
Yes, my generation does not Google somebody right off the bat.
So search engine optimization is not your first and most important friend.
Exactly. And it's different, and it always depends on your business. But for me, if I'm looking or if I'm searching for something, the first place I always go is Instagram, because I want to go to a place if I'm looking for a new business outfit, and I'm like, okay, well, what local shops are here? I want to shop local. I want to give back to the community. So I'm going to go to Instagram, and I'm going to just do hashtag Atlanta local clothing. Like, I'm just going to get, I'm going to go deep into the hashtag system, and I'm going to say, okay, who's using these hashtags? I want somebody fun. I want somebody active. I want someone that's going to be on social media and be, reshare the pictures that I post. That's just the generation that I grew up in. So having a landing page is definitely important, and it can support a lot of the business and a lot of the back end, but I'm going to Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, and landing page is a very simplified version of a site. Like if we run into a company that doesn't have one, we're really proposing to them not a full site, just a brochure, right?
Exactly.
Like if you're going to give somebody a brochure on your company, like what would that brochure look like? And then put everything else into your content. So I'm going to share a little secret with you.
Okay, I'm ready.
I may be from a different generation, but I also use Instagram and those heavily. Instagram, no one in my family would have a Christmas present if it weren't for Instagram.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know.
That's good.
Don't know how to save an Instagram post.
Oh no.
Which the team always tells me. So I take pictures of them.
Take picture, like a screenshot?
Yes.
Okay. It's like you take a picture.
No. We have had clients do that though. We have had clients take a picture of their website. Like they've taken a physical picture and then sent it to us. We're you could, okay, whatever. So no, I'm not that bad. I do know how to hit the little buttons and get it to take a picture and put it in my photo roll, right?
Yeah.
And so I can just, Isaac is out there laughing at me right now. So I then go through my photo roll for the year when I'm Christmas shopping or birthday shopping, and I pick things out. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really cool product. Oh yeah, and I go to the website. So you know what that means for that business? They can't honestly track my advertising.
No.
Because I did not click on their shop now.
Exactly.
I put it as a static image, and then I went directly to that site or directly to that page or whatever and made the purchase.
I'm going to let you know a little secret.
Oh, okay. Are you going to tell me how to save? Because that's one of the things that makes me feel really old when I tell people, I took a picture. I don't know how to do it
anymore.
There
is a little icon, and it looks like a flag almost, like an upside down kind of flag.
I feel like my grandfather now. Go ahead, yes.
And if you click on that, it will save that post so that you can go back to your profile later. And that way, if there was... if there was there was a tag and something in there where it could be easily, you could just click on the picture.
So there's a flag.
Go to their website,
Okay.
To order it or
I'd also clean out my,
your camera roll.
My camera roll's really weird.
Yeah.
A few selfies, picture of the cat, and something I might want to
buy.
Right.
Presents,
Yeah.
Instagram does a really good job, I think, of that, the not when you're thinking about it. And I can't think of the technical, term, but I'm not going to do this right now.
Right.
But when I, a couple weeks later when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember I saw that and I want to get that, or I want to go, look deeper into that, or even I just moved here. So I'm trying to find these new local spots to go, and one of the first things I look for is, okay, when are they COVID friendly? Are they open? What's the safety measures behind it? But when I go to Instagram, I'm like, are other people tagging this business?
Right.
So I go out for dinner one night and I take a picture of my food and I post it on my Instagram story. Well, I'm going to tag that business. Now that business better reshare my story, because I'm giving you free advertising because my friend saw it and she was like, your dinner looked good. Where were you? And I was like, well, look where I tagged. And I was like, and you can go there next weekend. And I'm like, there, you're welcome. Free advertising.
Such an important point. I wrote for Inc. for a long time.
Yeah.
And people would send me press releases, right? Like they would send me, oh, such and such did this and did that. And they would think in their mind that the reason I didn't pick them to write about was because their press release wasn't compelling. The secret was I would read the press release and be like, oh, I think that's an interesting story. I would go look at their social media and see if they were active and if they were sharing content and if they were not, I would not write about them.
Exactly.
Because I was going to spend 2-3 hours writing the article. I had to get it through an editor. It had to get posted. And the way I got paid, I didn't get paid. The way I got paid was the number of views.
Okay.
So the number of people who read my article. So if I'm going to write about you, if I'm going to share something about you, and you don't have something actively going on, then why do I spend my time?
Exactly. Yeah. Right? Circling back, we said, so one, just have a presence.
Right.
You know, get your name on there, whether you are prepared for it or not. Just get started. And then 2, you have to be active. You have to be making those posts so that when people do find you, they see like, okay, you are a real business, you are in business, and then, you know, you can get creative, then you can get fun with your posts, and that's
Also knowing the you know, negative. Like if somebody posts something negative, you need to know that as well.
Yeah.
You know, don't just let that sit out there. That person who's angry at you.
Take the reins. You know, when someone does, you know, reshare your content, or someone posts, hey, I just went to dinner here last night and had a great time. Share that. Post that on your page and be like, wow, thank you so much. You know, you're in control of what your audience sees. So showcase that good content. Showcase people having a good time at your business. Showcase all of the good stuff. And then if you see something bad, you know, comment back and be like, hey, I'm so sorry you had that bad experience. You know, we want to invite you back in, and maybe we'll change your mind.
Yeah, you can't ignore it. You have to respond to it. Yeah. And we're about to go to commercial break, but I have a quick question. How important, so let's do a generational conversation. How important are reviews for you? Do you look at the reviews? I do. Yeah, they're really important, and I think that they can be very pivotal onto how you make your decision of where you're going to go. We all look at ratings, we all look at the stars, you know, but I kind of look through comments, and I'm like, oh, like what conversation are these people having? You know, so highlighting and showcasing the good is really, I think, should be top priority of these businesses. Nice. Okay. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we get back, I want to talk to you a little bit about some interesting things you did to connect with small businesses. Absolutely. And how that worked for you, and maybe some other people could think about how they could apply that for themselves. So you are listening to The Claw. I'm talking today with Courtney Psinas, and we'll be right back.
We'll be back after this short break.
I used to be that guy. You know, the one who spends his days just eating his feelings, living in his parents' basement. It all changed when I received an invitation from the love of my life. Because of all the junk food and laziness, I had outgrown my entire wardrobe. I knew I had to completely transform my body by the end of the week. Otherwise, I'd lose my beautiful mare. That's when I created my Unicorn Magic workout system. This system gives your muscles the boost they need to kick into overdrive and get you the results you want, immediately and effortlessly. By the time I went out on my date, using a magical combination, I didn't even recognize my own body, and neither will you. I personally guarantee you will see results after one workout with no risk to me. My customers agree. No other exercise program works faster or more effectively. In fact, out of 100 users, 100% of them said this is the most effective workout program they have ever used. Let's just say I got my gorgeous mare. And if you want yours, you need the Unicorn Magic workout system. So don't be that guy. Sign up for Unicorn Magic today.
Have you or a loved one been injured by a unicorn? Unicorn Magic will not help you get fit in a week, and it won't get you millions of new customers in a week either. If you've experienced any of these symptoms, you may have been affected by a unicorn marketing agency. If you need impactful marketing crafted to last, call Liger today. We fight these grandiose and absurd unicorn promises deadly to your marketing strategy and bring you long-lasting success. We guarantee you won't get overnight results. Reclaim your life and reclaim your marketing. Go online now at waronunicorns.com or give us a call at 404-832-5143. Again, the number is 404-832-5143.
And we're back. You're listening to The Claw. I am Chief Visionary Partner at Liger Partners, and I'm joined today by a fellow Liger partner, Courtney Psinas. She is a sales executive with us and focuses on small business. She also works with some of our full service clients. You are new to the team.
I am.
And so we're
brand
new to the team. Yes. And you were talking about one thing that you had done when you were in Illinois before you moved down here to like connect with small businesses. So tell me a little bit more about that and how that worked for you.
So I'm from a really small town in Illinois, and it's practically all local small businesses. So we really thrive and we really enjoy helping them grow and helping them, just like get better rooted in the community. So I was always into marketing. I was always into social media, and I was like, how can I personally help these local businesses who don't even know where to get started when it comes to social media? So I created this Facebook group called Social Media for Small Businesses. And in my free time, I just would write in tips and tricks, and I was like, maybe people
You were the Dear Abby.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, I don't have anything better to do but to talk about social media on social media. So I was like, I don't know if people are going to read these. I don't know if they're going to care. But I started to get a lot of messages. People would ask me questions, and they're like, hey, how do I schedule a post on social media? I'm like, oh, okay, weird. Let's go back. We're going to start at square one.
Right.
And so then I made it fun and interactive, and it's really just this forum almost where people can ask questions, and then I'll pick one out each week and I'll take a video of how I'm doing it, or I'll write a blog post. And it really became this place that these businesses felt comfortable, and they felt comfortable to be vulnerable and be like, right. I have no idea how to even make a Facebook account for my business. I have no idea how to make a Facebook group for my business. And from that, people would help each other out, and it kind of became this really awesome supportive community where I was giving, good free advice, and then businesses were helping businesses, and they were making connections off of it. And still to this day, people are going in there and they're learning, and they're becoming more comfortable with social media, and at the end of the day, it's helping their business.
So 2 points. So you just said a thing. Mm-hmm. That's what I love about doing a podcast is people will say a thing and then they just go past it.
Yes.
And they don't realize like what an amazing little tidbit it was. So you said making people comfortable to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
If you can make your customer comfortable with being vulnerable, they will buy from you.
Absolutely.
Because they've got to confess like what's going on, like why they're having a problem, what's not working. And we're taught specifically as Americans and, business people to always kind of put this, everything's great, right? And so when you're reaching out to someone for help, you're like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and especially at that local level. So they are so focused on their day-to-day that they don't have time for social media.
Right.
It is
Neither should they. They
shouldn't.
Right.
No, it's the first thing that gets pushed off their list. Let somebody else who knows what they're doing help you with that. Let us be that asset for you so that you can run your business, and we'll just make you look good.
Yeah.
And they have to be kind of in that vulnerable state to let someone in, because they work so hard. These local businesses are usually their family passed down, or they were side hustles that, now they finally took the jump and it's full time. So it's a big thing for them to let you in.
Yeah.
But once they get there, then they see the results and they see the progress, and it's perfect.
I love that. And knowing that someone is always a beginner.
Yes.
There's always a beginner starting. And, I've been podcasting since 2011. So when
I've been podcasting since maybe 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, but you're going to be an old pro here soon. Exactly. It's going to be great. And so when I talk to someone about podcasting and it's like a new concept for me or for them, being, I guess, an expert, you forget that people are at the beginning, right? I mean, we're always at the beginning of something. Yeah. Like I learned how to save a thing with an Instagram today. I'm an Instagram beginner, right?
Absolutely.
I primarily have used it mostly for shopping and to keep up with my daughter, right? Like that's the thing.
That's what it's for. Yeah.
But for me, it is, right? So being an expert, and we find this with companies all the time, is they don't want to go back and cover content that they have before. They're like, oh, we've talked about that. And they're like, yeah, but you talked about that and I didn't care about that. Mm-hmm. At that point, I didn't care.
Yeah.
But now maybe I do. My favorite example is getting a mortgage. Mm-hmm. If I were a mortgage person, if I could say, oh, this is how you apply for a mortgage and do a bunch of content about that.
Yeah.
And then a year later, you're like, well, we should talk about applying for a mortgage again. You'd be like, why? I already did that. Yeah, but your customer wasn't applying for, and they didn't care. Mm-hmm. They didn't pay attention to that content ever. You have to be there right at the point that they are like, oh yeah, I want to figure out how to make sourdough bread.
Exactly. Yeah. Being there at the right time. Right. It just goes right back to having that presence and being active. And you have to make time for your business. And, like I just said, it's important that you do your day-to-day. You're an expert in your business. Let someone else be the expert in your social media and in your marketing, because when you pair those two together, that's when you're going to grow. That's when you're going to see the results and be like, wow, you know what? I never knew that being on Instagram and posting an Instagram story would put me in front of this whole new audience that you didn't even know was there.
Yeah. And so you talk about having some kind of presence. You talk about, making sure you're sharing and being consistent. We talked a little bit about reviews and the importance of, making sure you're keeping up with it and whatever. What are some other things? Like if I want to, let's say I'm doing some of those things. So I'm a small business and I've got those things kind of taken care of. Where could I maybe add some accelerant to my marketing?
I think that once you've got your feet wet in social media and you are a little bit comfortable, I think that that's a good time to maybe start putting in some ad dollars, start spending just a little bit of money, because you can really target your audience that way. Start getting more creative with the strategy behind what you're doing. So at first, it is okay to post just to post. But then once you've started to gain a new following, you've got all these new eyes on your business, let's put some money into it and let's get creative. Let's have a strategy behind your brand, and it's time now to really sell your product and to really showcase what you're here and what you're doing. So putting more of an emphasis on the why and captivating your audience with a little bit more of a targeted audience, I would say.
I love it. I didn't even know what you were going to say, because you're new to the company, right? But you have like Liger blood, because that's exactly what we talk about. Because, one of the things we run into with companies, and particularly small companies, they'll start working with a firm, and that firm is advising that they spend a lot of money on advertising. And the problem with that is I could drive a lot of traffic to you, but if we don't have the message right, it may not be good traffic.
Exactly.
Social media people want you to spend money on ads, so they're going to send you traffic. So you should do a little experimentation first to figure out what works organically.
Yes.
And then double down.
Yeah.
Like when you get a post that does well, that's one that you should boost, or you should turn into an ad or do something with.
And I love that you use the word organically, because that organic audience is so important, because you are local, so you do have those local people that are driving you. And take a step back and look at some of your analytics, or sit down with someone who knows how to measure analytics and see what they're saying is working well, and then dive deeper into that. When you do a behind the scenes post and you have a picture of your employees, working back in the kitchen, and it does really well, okay, we'll replicate that in a different way. You can see from your organic audience where you should spend your money at, because people like the same things. If one thing works, it's going to work when it has a larger audience.
Yeah, absolutely. And most small businesses are like awkward in between teenagers.
Yeah.
And so telling them to like go ahead and post is kind of experimenting when you were a kid. Like, am I goth? Am I a prep?
Exactly.
Like what?
Yeah.
You don't know yet, right? Where do I fall? And so
play around with it.
Experiment. Yeah. And then when you learn, unless you have the dollars of some of the insurance companies that can get away with multiple campaigns and things, lean into it, because you want to make sure when any post shows up, if anything happens, that you naturally say, oh, I know that company.
Exactly.
Right? Like that's the brand awareness, quote unquote, you're looking for.
You have to get in front of those people first, and then you can sell them, and then you can really, dive deeper into your brand. And I think that, I like to use the term hand holding. Like, it's okay to hold, your marketing team's hand for a while and lean onto their expertise, because you are in this experimental phase and everybody starts there. But then you can take that and apply it, and you'll just grow and you'll learn each day. And it's really exciting to watch a local small business kind of get their feet wet in marketing, and then see how it takes off for them.
Yeah, and thinking about your business if you were creating a magazine about your business. So what would be the stories you would tell?
Exactly.
What would the pictures you take? What would the titles that would make somebody take the magazine off of the rack? You looked at me a little bit like maybe you didn't know what a magazine is. So they're these paper things that used to be on the rack?
Yeah. Okay. Those are, to me, I call them highlight reels on Instagram now. So yeah,
I'm going to learn so much.
You are, indeed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So highlight reels. Yeah, that's good because those stay.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Take your 24-hour story, add it to a highlight so that it's there forever.
Yeah, my daughter's an artist, and she will do time lapse of her making something, and those are really cool.
Those are really cool.
Yeah, so she puts up, and then the thing, and then it makes somebody want to buy it because they saw it made.
Exactly.
You know? So very cool. Well, I'm super excited. Our conversation was great. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I'm sure that you will be back on, or maybe doing your own. I think that's what we're talking about. Yeah, that's great. So you've been listening to The Claw. If you are a marketing executive and want to talk about marketing, if you work with an agency or within a marketing department, I'd love to have you on as my guest. We can talk about what works and what doesn't in different categories. I'm Eric Holtzclaw. Thanks for joining me and Courtney Psinas, our new sales executive with the company. And until next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Claw Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe, rate and review this podcast. And if you or someone you know wants to make an appearance on this show, email us at yourbestie@ligerpartners.com.